Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 150. It's time for a break. So this is a quick little kind of an announcement episode, and I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from the podcast. So you won't hear from me actually for the rest of 2021. I will be back in January and ready to share teaching tips and strategies and motivation, hopefully advice, some of the trials that we face as teachers and all of the above. I hope that you will join me. And if you're subscribed, you will know exactly when I'm back. And if you're not, then you'll just have to search and see. And hopefully it will come back and we will both take a little bit of a break from the podcast. So I have a few little quick things to tell you, and that will be a wrap for 2021. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, okay. So first of all, like I said, I'm going to be taking a little break. And, sometimes when you're trying to do so many things and create resources to help serve teachers and to also, deliver informative emails weekly and show up in all different locations and podcast, it sometimes feels overwhelming. So I have thought that I have a lot of past podcast episodes that you can listen to that go over specifically like being thankful and, Thanksgiving types of things during the year and Christmas break and all of that. And so I felt like maybe I would, lead you to some of those previous podcast episodes and you can take a listen to those, kind of like when you're a show that you watch on TV starts having reruns. That's what I feel like a little bit. So maybe we'll focus on some of those and then we'll get back to a fresh new One Tired Teacher in January. So that's what's happening with this. So I will be taking a little bit of a break, but I did want to share my wishes for you for the rest of the year. I know that right now teaching is really difficult. And one of the things that's so hard is that we just constantly keep having things piled on our plate over and over and over again. And it's a lot. And I was recently having a conversation with my friend who was talking about how she was spending her whole entire weekend grading papers. And I was getting so frustrated. And I'm like, why do you have to grade all those papers? And she's like, I have to have 9 grades, for each subject for each quarter. And I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. And it might have even been like 9 for a progress report, which is like half of the thing. I don't remember which one was right. Either way, it just seemed excessive, especially if you are doing standards-based grading, which most, at least primary classes are doing. I don't know if we've trickled or gone up to the intermediate classes or if we're still doing like old-fashioned grading where we're taking an average, but in standards-based grading, we don't want to take the grading, the average. We want to look at how a student is progressing along the standard. And we want to see how they're doing. So we might have some checkpoints to check in, and then, we might keep track of that. But when the child has mastered the standard consistently, we can say, okay, this is where they are. This is where they are. This is where they're meeting the standard. They're meeting the expectation. And in my district, we would call that a 3, like they're meeting the standard. And we might say if they're just, they're on their way, but they haven't quite grasped it, we might say that they're a 2. And if they are really like struggling with it and they don't have a clear understanding, we might say they're a 1. And if they're exceeding that standard and they're exceeding the expectations, their thinking is above and beyond, we might say that that's a 4. Now, some people will say they have to be a whole grade level ahead to be a 4. And that is not how I interpreted it. I don't interpret it as being, if I have a second grader, they're thinking on a 3rd grade level. I just maybe extend it into if they're able to give me, they're able, let's say I'm talking about asking and answering questions, and I might say if they're able to ask 3 deeper level questions that indicate that they have a solid grasp or understanding, then that might be a 3. They're meeting that expectation. But if they're able to give 4 or 5, then they're exceeding the minimum. They're exceeding what they need to have met it. So, you have to talk amongst your team about what best works for you all and what, you consistently agree on upon that. But it's just something to think about. So I don't think we need to have 9 assignments. So one of the things I say as a time-saving tip, and I actually talk about that in my email this week that is going out, that actually went out last week, then you will see that I gave 3 tips on how to save time grading. And one of them was to stop grading so much. We don't need to grade that much. Like, that's crazy, especially pages and pages of work. That will take you forever. So what I used to do is I would take specific assignments, and those would be the things that I would grade. And the rest of it, I would just go check, 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 check. And sometimes I'd even have a student helper that just put a check at the top. I feel like putting a check at the top indicates to the student that you looked at it. It indicates to the parents that you looked at it, but you're not giving them a grade. So they may not know exactly which one is going to be the graded one. Although I do like to go over criteria in advance with students so they know what to expect and how to best meet that criteria and what that looks like. And so I created these standards-based assessment graphic organizers that do that for each of the reading comprehension standards in 2nd grade. And it has a student-friendly rubric on the front, which we go over in advance, and then we can add student input to it. So they are very well aware of what they're doing. I think that is the fair way of actually assessing a person. So that's something to think about. So I do that. Another thing I do is that sometimes, especially in math, I would have them do 4 problems so I can understand, maybe 5, I could understand how well they understood something, and then they would have a checkpoint. They would come to me with their math book, I check over it, I might give them a grade for that, and then I'd send them on their way. I'm grading at school where I should be grading. And then my other favorite little time saver is exit tickets. It can just be a really focused, specific standard that I'm doing a quick assessment on with an exit ticket. And then I can make a pile of yes, they got it, no, they didn't. And these no, they didn't are going to be my small groups that I pull. And now I've got that figured out. So that's just a simple time saver tip. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I've been trying to do some, content-based emails to help teachers, and I'm hoping that does help you. So if you are not on my list and you're going to miss out, I'm not going to stop my emails, then hop on over to TrinaDebris.teachingandlearning.com. There's a pop-up that invites you to a free masterclass for Makerspace. It's a replay. Sign up for that. Watch that if you choose. You're on my list automatically. I have a couple of other places inside my website where you can join, and once you're on my list, you will get those weekly updates. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is I want to tell you to enjoy Halloween. It's going to be crazy. Try to enjoy it as much as you can. Try to have fun with your kids. And then in the month of November, try to remember some of the things that you are feeling grateful for and practice gratitude. I have a gratitude journal that I think is so powerful for kids and even for us. And keeping track of things I'm grateful for helps me focus on the things that make me happy. And it's easy to look at the things that are difficult. And I'm not saying pretend like they're not there, because I believe in feeling your feelings. And I know times are tough. They're very tough. It's just a way for us to remember some of the things that we can be grateful for. So just keep that in mind. And then I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And I hope that you have a wonderful end of 2021. And I will see you in 2022. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.